the coming new year of 5785, I want to pose a question to this great audience. Do you want to be fake, or do you want to be phenomenal? Do you want to remain in a fake, fictitious, filtered, phony world of hate and division? Or do you want to be phenomenal through Torah, Teshuvah, Tefillah, Tzedakah, and of course Hashem? I'm going to assume that you want to be phenomenal. So I'm here to introduce you to how to get to phenomenal with the phenomenal Gedale Fenster.
What a beautiful opening, Sobi. First, I want to thank all of you guys for your support. It's incredible. We were here 3 months ago, and I said, there's no way I'm doing another event. Parky said, let's do another event in Elul. I said, there's no way I'm doing another event 3 months after. But I said, Gedale, this is not about you. This is about God. This tonight is about God. Rosh Hashanah is about God. So then I said, no problem, we'll do it. So I want to thank you guys for supporting me. I want to thank you guys for your mission. I want to thank you guys for your strength and all the prayers, because otherwise, without you guys, I'd be nowhere. I want to thank my wife for everything that she's done to support me, and Baruch Hashem, the Sheva Banava, and my kids. I want to talk to you tonight about an incredible concept. Thank God I was able to meditate a lot this time. And this year we have to first exhale the past to inhale the future. It's extremely important that how we deal with the past. We know tomorrow night is the 18th of Elul. The 18th of Elul represents the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov. The Rebbe Rayat says that these last 12 days of the year, each day has the power to rectify a complete month. Each day has the power to rectify a complete month. You're getting a deal this month. These 12 days, you can actually repair. The greatness of Chassidut itself is you can do a positive act and fix the past. It's not like credit checks where you owe money. You take a positive act, you can fix the past. There's no time and space with godliness. So this month, we're ready for these last 12 years to finish strong. And if we have these 12 days, we can walk into Rosh Hashanah with momentum. We can walk into Rosh Hashanah with momentum. So let's say you had a bad 3 quarters. You could still make it up in the last 2 minutes. Everything is on your side tonight. The world, the universe, God, everything's on your favor. You just have to let God in. That's all you have to do. So think about this. Finish strong every month. For example, tomorrow night represents Tishrei. Think about your resolutions. Think about any positive action. We can fix the present moment, can fix the past. I wish we could use that for marriage, right? But when you come back with a different attitude, you actually fix the whole past. No more resentment. There's no resentment. There's no shame and guilt in Judaism. That's in our own heads. It's when we come back stronger, the past actually becomes elevated. So that's something very, very important to understand. This is why we need the light of Chassidut in our year. We always say, everybody's telling us, have a new year, have a good year. This is really about a new you. The word shana is shinui, which means to change. We can change everything. We're going to talk a lot about limited beliefs. We're going to talk about our purpose. We're going to talk about this. But the most important part is end the year strong. Don't end the year weak. End the year strong. And when you end the year strong, you go in with momentum. You want to walk in with momentum in Rosh Hashanah. You don't want to walk in, what's going to be? I'm getting judged today. I don't know what's happening today. You don't want to walk in like that. You don't want to walk into a Jets game to see if they're going to win or not tonight. You want to walk in with momentum. You want to walk in with confidence. You can't walk in with confidence because remember, Rosh Hashanah is all about the head. How you're thinking. We're so careful on Rosh Hashanah, we're not even allowed to eat foods that resemble sin. We're not even allowed to eat nuts. You can't have a peanut on Rosh Hashanah because it's a sin. It's a chet, it's a sin. Even things that anything resembles anything negative, you can't touch it on Rosh Hashanah, because it might trigger you something in the past. So to think about, we eat on Rosh Hashanah good foods, and we say blessings on good foods. It's all about positivity, because how you think on Rosh Hashanah dictates the whole year. So think about going in there with momentum. Think about going in there with momentum. Don't think about just showing up and say, how's my year going to be? How's my year going to be? So that's one thing to think about. There's a great concept by the Baal Sulam says that one who appreciates what he has will be given more. It's one of my favorite lines. I say this all the time in the cold plunge. When I have 2 minutes, I say I appreciate the 2 minutes in the cold plunge. I get a third minute. Whenever you appreciate what you've been given, you get more of it. It's very simple. Whenever you receive something that you don't appreciate, it gets taken away from you. Anytime you get an ounce of inspiration, anytime you get an extra energy at the gym, anytime you get shalom bayit, don't take it for granted. Appreciate it. If you appreciate it, you'll get another dose of it. One who appreciates what he's been given will be given more. So it teaches us when we show up to Rosh Hashanah, we should really show up with a gratitude board, not a vision board. We should say, this is all I received on Rosh Hashanah. This year I was packed with gratitude. So what happens? You appreciate what you receive, you get more. You complain, you get nothing. So it's very important, Rosh Hashanah, we want to stay away from negative people. Anything negative you want to stay away from, because it's going to trigger you to the past. This is why I go to Ukraine. I go to Uman. I don't want to see anything negative. Just take me to even if there's a war, I'd rather be in a war and not be negative. We need to understand that this year also, our birthday is renewed. Rosh Hashanah is the birthday of creation. It's also the day your contract is up for renegotiation. We also, we see sports stars, he signed the $4 million, 4-year, $188 million year. He signed the 2-year deal. This is the year that you get that deal. On Rosh Hashanah, you're getting interviewed. How is God's investment in you this year? Think about this concept. Is God's investment in you worth another year? Obviously, we don't want to be judged. Nobody wants to be judged. But this is a day where you get judged to see, how's your investment this year? How is my investment in this person this year? Is this person consuming more or producing more? Is this person a giver or is this person a taker? So this year you have to think about this. Sages tell us, contract's up. Everything's up for negotiation. That's why it's Yom Hadin. You're getting judged to see what's happening. So this is why what you want to do is you want to figure out what you could do to become a bigger giver this year. Let's say, you know what, this year is going to be a day that I'm going to let things go. Therefore, I'm going to have more peace in my life. This year is going to be a day, this is what we want to do is we want to focus on changing spiritual conditions. This year's a day that I'm going to start keeping Shabbat. You want to create a necessity for heaven to say, this is a good investment. We all know we've had good investments, and we know we've had not so good investments in life. You are the investment. And if we're in a world of just taking and receiving, then sometimes the contract is not so valuable. And we have to trade. So you should think about it. We're not saying walk around with being scared, but thinking about, you know what, if I was an employee in a company, how am I going to add value to my contract? How am I going to outdo my contract? And it doesn't mean you have to go wear a black hat and all that. It means you have to become a bigger giver. You have to become a bigger giver. Whether giving also means going against your comfort zones. If it's hard for you to wake up at 8 o'clock, wake up at 7. Do something where you could say, I'm going to be a bigger giver this year. Oh, you're going to be a giver this year? In heaven, it's good for both of us. So that's just a simple meditation that I had. I asked myself, if my contract was getting renewed, what can I do different this year, the next year? This way I walk in confidence, because at the end of the day, if you have a good sales pitch, it's good for both of us. It's good for heaven. It's good for you. But if you're just walking in, what kind of year am I going to have? What kind of year am I going to have? Imagine saying, what kind of marriage are you going to have? Well, it depends upon how you work it. So we are the ones, we are co-creators. We can create our reality. The biggest problem that happened on this same day of Rosh Hashanah is we're constantly reminded of the sin of the Adam and Eve. And the sin of Adam and Eve was complication, was pride, was control. So this Rosh Hashanah, we have to do what we have to do to surrender. Surrender with simplicity. We crown our Creator. We say today, this whole month of Elul has been about, it's not about my honor, it's about God's honor. This is about God this month. This is why this month we've had insults, we've gone through challenges, we've gone through setbacks, but it's not about us. It's about God. Come back in a setback. Have a setback in your life and come back with the same attitude. Then you're doing it about God. So this month we're working on that aspect of the setbacks. How are you handling the setbacks? Is it about you? Is it about God? Are you quitting because of you, or are you quitting because of God? This is what it is. On Rosh Hashanah, we're actually focusing on commitment. It's not focusing on, it's a commitment. The marriage is on Yom Kippur. The commitment starts on Rosh Hashanah. The commitment starts on Rosh Hashanah. That's the day you decide to commit. That's the day you decide to lengthen your contract. That's the side. And we all have things in our life that are challenging us. Like the Baal Sulam says, black and white. Whatever's difficult for you to do is called giving. Whatever's easy for you to do is called taking. So if you think about how do you become a giver, you become a giver by going against your nature. That is called giving. Giving is not doing what's comfortable in your life. Giving is doing things that are above nature. And when we live like that, we can really, really, really make a splash in heaven. So this is exactly what this whole concept of Rosh Hashanah is about, really, really recalibrating. The word teshuvah is a very heavy word. The word repair is a very hard word. Very hard word. I like to say the word like the holy, I forgot his name. He says recalibrate. Repinsin. He says what you want to do in Rosh Hashanah is you don't want to return, you want to recalibrate. Just like we have things that are broken, they need to be recalibrated. What does recalibrate mean? Recalibrate means coming back in a much higher consciousness. You see, in Chassidut, there's only two consciousnesses that we really have. We have expanded consciousness, which is a good mood, and we have constricted consciousness, which is a bad mood. Either we're in a good mood or we're in a bad mood. We're in a good mood, good things happen. Mercy happens because why? We see the perspective. When we're in a bad mood, we attract more negative things to happen. So when we come back in consciousness, we want to come back to Rosh Hashanah, we want to come back in a good mood. Forget the fancy Kabbalah speech. A good mood is expanded consciousness. When you're in a good mood, means you're focusing on good things in your life. When you're in a bad mood, you're focusing on yourself. And our lives, we're so moody. I know myself, I'm very moody. And maybe I'm the only one moody in the whole room. But our whole lives, whether we want to pray, depends on our mood. Whether we want to say, I'm sorry, it depends on our mood. Whether we want to run, it depends on our mood. Everything depends on your mood today. Let's be honest, guys. Your mood is determined by your consciousness. Your mood is not determined by the weather. Your mood is determined by what you're focusing on. You don't want to show up in a bad mood in Rosh Hashanah. You don't want to do that because that's going to attract the whole year. So in Rosh Hashanah, we focus on purity of thought. And if we can't understand things in life, it forces us to do one thing. Say, I surrender. If Adam and Eve just said, I accept and I surrender, we wouldn't be here today. The tikkun would have been done. Today, the sin happened with pride. The repair has to happen with humility. Remember that concept. The problem begins with pride. The repair begins with humility. That's every repair across the board in your life. It begins with pride, which means control. And it ends with letting go and letting God. That's how every situation is repaired in our life. When we let go and let God, how do we let go and let God? Because there's a much bigger picture happening that we don't understand. But as long as we remain in this world, and every time we're controlling, every time we're angry, every time we're full of expectations, every time all we're trying to say is, I want to rule. Ani yimloch. I want to rule. We are mimicking, because remember, we all have a spark of Adam and Eve's soul in us. All we're doing is continuing that first sin in heaven. So think about these concepts. If it's out of your head, if it's out of your hands, get it out of your head. And this is why our sages tell us, there's a famous Gemara that says, whoever starts the year poor will be very rich. Whoever starts the year poor will be very rich. The word poor is referring to powerlessness. If I come into Rosh Hashanah recognizing that any success that I have is only because my Creator, God, has shined my light through me. And if I'm not successful in that area, it's because God's not giving me that area. So I become dependent upon Him. The more I become dependent upon my Creator, the more poor I am, the more powerless I am, the more help I get. It's the same way as a person would ask for help. When you ask for help, you get help. But in order to ask for help, you have to realize that you need help. This is what Rosh Hashanah is recognizing, I need help. Rabbi Nachman says that the reason why we need these teachings today, if you recognize the sicker the patient, the bigger the doctor you need. Today we are in a state of, we're sick with selfishness today. That's our problem today. We're unfortunately, if you start doing the inner work, you realize, oh my God, I have major issues. I have major control issues. I have major expectation issues. I have a lot of issues. At least when I realize I have a lot of issues, I can get help. But when you say, I got it in the bag, I don't have any issues, that's the time where heaven says, if you don't want to humble yourself, don't worry, we'll humble you in heaven. If you humble yourself below, you don't need to be humbled in heaven. This is the concept of double jeopardy. You can't be tried twice for the same problem, which is an incredible concept. That means if I recognize that I have a deficiency in me, because I'm completely born imperfect, then I come to my Creator with that deficiency. Heaven doesn't need to remind me that I have that deficiency. But if I say, I'm good, heaven reminds you that you're not so good. So when our sages tell us you have to start the year poor, it's telling you you have to start the year needing God, needing. Be needy. Be needy. Recognize you need help. Then heaven gives you all the help in the world. But the minute you have it in the bag, really, you think you have it in the bag? Let me show you what you don't have. You have nothing in the bag. So this is called humility. Rabbi Nachman says the person who's humble, his prayers are answered. A person with humble, he gets judged very favorably. A person that's humble, he gets back up very quickly. A person that's humble is not about you, it's about God. This is the tikkun that we're making on Rosh Hashanah. We're just accepting the kingship. We're not asking for anything ourselves. We're getting to a point where we've said, today we're looking at the polls, right? What's the approval polls, right? Who's winning the polls? You have to ask yourself, if your poll is God, what is God in your life? 50%. How was your year this year? 40%, 60% approval. We're actually crowning God. We're saying, no, It was 100% approval this year. And that's the work that we have to do. This whole work about Elul is all about fixing these things. What do you guys practically think is the biggest thing that you could do to make God happy? What would you guys suggest? Yes. Let go. No. What else do you think? It's a good start. What do you think? Gratitude? What do you think? Kiddush Hashem? The greatest thing, according to Rabbi Nachman, is to bring other people back. That brings the biggest splash in heaven. As you see, Chabad is outdoing the S&P 500 today. We could see the Chabad is opening. They're outdoing the S&P 500. They're the NVIDIA of Judaism today. Why in the world is Chabad the NVIDIA of Judaism today? Why? What are they doing? They are bringing people back. That's the greatest thing you could do. The greatest thing you could do is bring people back. That is the greater than everything. The Zohar says, you bring people back to Judaism, you're on the hub lane. You don't have to worry about anything else. This is greater than anything. So the practicality of this is two things. We could say, if I'm in Elul and this is all about God's honor, first of all, who am I bringing back? Number one, what have I done for other people? Or is this, am I on the car? I'm in a two-seater myself. And the second thing you could say is, sometimes people think, wow, I'm so far away, I've done so much damage, what's the point of coming back? You got it completely the opposite. When you come back, you make the biggest splash in heaven. So we have it all wrong. We have this guilt and shame and nonsense. I don't even know how people are teaching these things to people today. God's going to strike you by lightning if you do bad. No, it's when you come back strong. When you come back strong, it's greater than everything. That is the greatest thing. You know what the greatest thing you could do? Is judge your neighbor favorably. Bringing him back. Doing whatever you can to bring your favor back. Because at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's about God. It's not about you. It's about God. I think October 7th has shown us a little bit of that vibe. That it's not about you. It's the whole team has to win. Not just the religious people. It's not just about the religious people winning. They're all into it. Everybody has to win together. So if the religious people are not bringing the people back, then they're at fault also. They're just as fault. I can't stay in one side and everybody else stays on the other side. It doesn't work in heaven that way. Basis hatred is basis hatred. We get this. We're mourning today from basis hatred till today. We're still mourning. The second temple has been destroyed because of basis hatred. So we need to understand it's not just about you. It's about the team winning. When the team wins, everybody wins. When you win and nobody else wins, nobody wins. So in Elul, you have to think about bringing people back. Bringing yourself back. Because obviously, if you're the change, you're going to drag others with you. When you come back, you drag other people with you. Think about how many people have been affected by one person changing in their house, for the positive and for the negative. So when we start thinking globally, we can start making major tikkuns. This is what we're dealing with on Elul. Elul, you're preparing for the Malchut. You're preparing. If we knew the power of bringing people back, we would open up our own Chabads. You would have a Chabad in your house. Just like if you knew the power of charity, you would run after poor people to give them. They wouldn't run to you. But today, obviously, this is not the case. So think about that concept. Coming back strong, yourself. Nobody cares about how you start. Everybody cares how you finished. Who cares if the Dolphins were 8-1? Who cares? They're out of the playoffs. Nobody cares about the end. Nobody cares about the beginning. Everybody's interested in the end. How did you end? You know why? Because the beginning, anybody can start something. Not everybody can finish. Not everybody can finish. It's extremely important to understand that. I'd like to talk, speaking about coming back, I'd like to talk to you about a Gemara that I was in the middle of Utah in the desert, and I opened up I had a dream, and this dream really, really triggered me to this Gemara. And in this dream, what did I dream? That I saw a world of everybody trying to cancel their contracts. Imagine going to the gym tomorrow, and all the people that are out of shape saying, I don't want to work out anymore. I'm canceling my contract. And what did the trainer say? Too bad. Get back on the treadmill. And all of a sudden, I don't know why I had this crazy dream about a treadmill and we're trainers. I said, wow, this is a Gemara in Rosh Hashana 11. Our sages tell us there's two sources. There's a Gemara in Rosh Hashana 11 and there's a Gemara in Chulin 60, that tell us that we come into this world and each of us chose our mission. Each of us came into this world and we signed up for exactly what we're going to go through. Whether we were going to be rich or poor, strong or weak, tall or short, married, single, everything we knew every single step of our lives. And you know what we said? Okay, I'll do it. And now we're in a cancel culture today. I want to cancel the mission. No, thank you. Not for me. Too bad. It's too bad. What we have to do now is we have to change our attitude about our mission. We all have things in our life that are troubling us. Some of us financially, some of us having kids, some of us marriage, some of us economy, some of us politically issues, whatever we got going on, we all have issues. You signed up for your mission. I hate to tell you. You knew exactly what was going to happen. So what do? I signed up for this? Many people would say, I can't believe I signed up for this marriage. But somehow you did. Nobody put a gun to your head when you got married. And you say, how can it be? It's impossible. No, it's not. You signed up for your mission. The Gemara tells us that Rashi says, I hope Rashi is a good source for people here. Good? Okay. Rashi says that we all knew exactly how we were going to create it. And we agreed to the mission. When I heard those words, and I remember reading this, I'm like, oh my God, I think I need to stop complaining and start realizing I signed up for this. I need to change my attitude about my mission. I need to change my attitude about the things that I'm not happy with in my life. I need to change my attitude because when I change the way I look at things, the things I look at will change. And this is called radical acceptance. There's a lot of things that we don't understand what are going on in our lives that are beyond our imagination. How in the world did I do this? How in the world did I do that? The only thing that you are responsible for today is your attitude. And your attitude can change absolutely everything. How do you like that one? The key component to everything today is not the situation, it's the attitude about the situation. It's whether or not you've accepted. Now, what happens is if we accept certain parts, it doesn't mean we can't change them, but it means this is part of my mission. It could have been, I signed up to be 35 and single, and I'm going to be married at 36. I signed up to have financial troubles at a certain time. But this is part of your tikkun. And I know this is very hard to hear, but there's two Gemaras saying the exact same thing, that we signed up for this mission. Think about how much we are resisting what we're going through. It's pretty scary. A lot of times complaining is what? Resisting. We're just resisting. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm dealing with this. Did you read the contract? Everybody doesn't read the contract anymore, huh? Imagine Chabad of Puerto Rico saying to the Rebbe, I'm done with the Chabad in Puerto Rico. Done. I can't deal with the people. I can't deal. What would the Lubavitcher Rebbe say? No problem. We're going to relocate you to Miami Beach. What do you think he's going to tell him? You signed up for this mission. get on a flight back to Puerto Rico. Imagine what Chabad would be today if everybody decided to cancel their slichas. I know I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be in South Africa, Guana, and all these crazy places. It's not an option anymore. When you make something in life not an option, you make it. So part of Rosh Hashanah is agreeing to the mission and not always wanting to cancel the contract. Marriage, what do we want to do? Cancel the contract. That's it, cancel. I have enough. I had 5 years in Siberia. I had enough. I did my 5 years. I had enough. I can't deal anymore. Too bad. See, that's not what the world is telling you today. The world today is telling you, just cancel it. You don't like it? Cancel it. Just cancel everything. Cancel the subscription. Cancel everything. Cancel your life. Cancel culture. This is not what we talk about. We talk about, this is not a Judaism concept, cancel culture. It's re-engage, change your attitude, and figure it out. Tough love. God is tough love. And sometimes we do say, how in the world did I get here? How in the world am I dealing with this? Just remember, you signed up for this. And I think sometimes we can laugh at it. Because if we laugh about it, we can let it go. And we can change our attitude. I know if anybody needs to throw up, it's okay, I think we can. But you can't blame anybody. And also, another thing you can't do is you can't compare. Because what you signed up for is not what he signed up for. So this is why any form of jealousy is blessing sabotage. If you want his mission, you got to take the whole package. Not just what you see. Make sure you take the whole package of your friend's mission, not just the highlights on ESPN. This is why you should never look at anybody and say, I know he's got his mission too. This is very important. We have to remember in this world we are here to repair. We are not here to despair, but we're also not on an all-inclusive vacation. I hate to tell it to you guys. We're not in an all-inclusive vacation. Remember that concept. Back to thinking positively. I'm going to give you a great tool from Rabbi Nachman about thinking positively now that we know that we signed up for the mission and we have to make the best of it. And I think if I can ask you guys this question, when you've gone through things and you started changing your attitude, you were able to grow from that situation. Yes or no? Would you say? You went through a situation, you couldn't stand it, you kicked, you screamed, and then you said, you know what? I might as well change my perspective. At the end of the day, what did you get out of it? You got massive growth. You got massive growth out of it. So at the end of the day, we will get growth out of every situation, even though we want to kick and scream and want to get out of the situation. Extremely important to understand that. This is why depression, for Reb Nachman, there's nothing depression. It's about being a broken heart. Yes, you're in a mission you can't understand. It's not to be depressed about it. It's about to understand this is your mission. It's overwhelming you. Cry out with a broken heart. Don't say, this is my mission, I signed for it, I can't stand it, I'm done. That's the difference. The difference is yes, it is difficult, and I need help. This is the time to cry out for help. So I know what it is to go through these situations. I know what it is to go through pain. But at the end of every single situation, we will get out of it if we handle the right attitude. But we don't want to walk into Rosh Hashanah with complaints. We want to walk around into Rosh Hashanah with acceptance. We don't want to walk, remember, we're crowning the king. We're not crowning ourselves. If we're walking around sad and felt like we got the short end of the stick, then we're not crowning the Creator. We're trying to crown ourselves. We're actually diminishing the light of the Creator. We're taking the Creator's light and we're diminishing it instead of elevating it. So being that Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the year, the first day of Rosh Hashanah represents all spiritual gifts are given on the day. The second day, our physical gifts are given on that day. But they're looking at your resume. They're looking at your intention, by the way. They're not just saying, what seat are you in shul? What synagogue? What seat are you in? No, they're looking at your intention. We know that if you think about why God sends us two different types of energies all the time, it feels like life is two sets of energies, as far as me. Stress, rest. Stress, rest. Feels like we're in this yo-yo pattern of a lot of stress, growth, and then a little rest for about maybe 2 weeks, and then here we go again. And we're thinking to ourselves, I thought I figured this out already. I thought I mastered this problem already. How in the world am I still back here again? Maybe it's just me. Our sages tell us we have two modes of energies. We have a mode of tohu, and we have a mode of tikkun. These are two stages of our lives that we have to go through constantly. The reason why we have tohu represents stress and chaos. The purpose of having tohu energy is so you can get laser focused on what you need to do. If you're down 7 points in the fourth quarter and you're down by 7, you cannot have tikkun energy. You need to have tohu energy. You need to have chaos. Because otherwise, you are not going to put 7 points on the football stadium. In our lives, we have tohu because we are very comfortable people. And we want comfort at all costs in our lives. Just give me comfort, please. Take away the pain. Believe it or not, that is not your optimal state of being. Your Creator is not interested in how comfortable you are. Your Creator is interested in how you optimize your soul. So the reason why God sends so much chaos in our lives is because we're not growing by ourselves. So the growth is going to come to you. So what happens? He sends us this energy of tohu, which is chaos, which is raw, which is like, I can't believe it, my whole world is flipping. This is actually a very good sign. Whoever received a new shirt today by my good friend Jacob, God bless you. He donated 300 shirts because he was inspired by the name New Level, New Devil. He was inspired by new level, new devil. Every single time you are going to a new level, there's a new devil. There's a new evil inclination. Yeah, that's the purpose of the shirt. Good. That means any single time we are growing, then we're going to have chaos. If we don't have chaos, we are not doing anything in our lives. If there's no resistance to what you're doing, you're not doing anything. If we want to play it too safe, we won't grow, but we'll play safe. So these two modes of life are going to happen to us all day long. Between rest and stress. The purpose of that, so what does God do? He creates a lack in our lives. And that lack is for you to come and try to fix it with a sense of urgency. So what does God do? He basically gives us these lacks. Rabbi Nachman had a famous Torah, it's called Lesson 40 line, where he says our main purpose in this world is to get rid of limited belief systems. We cannot walk into Rosh Hashana with limited belief systems. If you walk around in Rosh Hashana with limited belief systems, you did not crown your Creator. And our problems why we are not receiving things today, it's not because of the situation, it's because we have limited beliefs. Think about the Jews in Egypt. They were full of limited beliefs. What did they say every single time they had a problem? We wish we had free melons. We wish we had free fish. I can't believe we're going to die in the desert. The real reason why they had all this negativity is because they didn't believe, they didn't have a desire to be free. They'd rather be institutionalized than be free. So today, we are institutionalizing our brain to say, This is not going to work because of this. And what Rabbi Nachman says, this is the dalut in our brain. So if you look at a hay itself, it's yud ke vav ke. The last hay represents what you're responsible for. If that last hay is not complete, it becomes a dalid. That means if you add a dalid, you add a yud, you get a hay. Anytime that we're getting negative belief systems, we are in a state of dalut. So think about practically how our belief systems take place. First, you have a belief. Your beliefs determine your thoughts. What you think about becomes your speech. What your speech becomes your actions. Your actions become your results. Your results reinforce your beliefs. And then you're in one big circle. Beliefs, thoughts, speech, action, results, belief. Reinforced over and over again. The reason why we are in limited belief systems is because we're staying in the dalid. Our job is to get to the hay. When we get to the hay, we break through. Give you an example of this. So what happens? The technicality is, for example, when you're single and you get broke and you have a heartbreak, that is not to get you depressed. That is to get you laser focused on your need for connection. The purpose of that energy of failure is to get you laser focused on what I really want. If you looked at every single millionaire that made it really big, he was really, really poor. How come? Because when you're poor, you know what you want. And you have a sense of urgency and a drive that there's nothing that's going to stop you. When you are desperate, you are focused. So God gives us these lacks, these dalids, these limited beliefs in order for us to break them. This is why our sages tell us that God gives you obstacles in order for you to break them. The only reason we have obstacles today are in order for them to break them. That's it. There's no other reason. What creates the ability to break a desire? How do we break an obstacle? Desire. But think about the desire of a person who's lacking. For example, if I didn't eat anything today, I would go into dinner very, very hungry. I would have a desire. My appetite would be strong. If I would eat every 2 hours, I would have snacks every 2 hours, my appetite would not be so hungry. I would not be so inclined to enjoy the food because I would say, I'm full already. What causes you to have an appetite? Lack. Lack causes appetite. And your appetite is your hunger towards a goal. So what are our limited beliefs? Our limited beliefs are determining what our outcome is. If we want to change, if we want to have an abundant year, we need to work on limited belief systems. For example, my limited belief system was, I don't have time to write a book. So what happens? What did I think? I don't have time. What did I do? You're right, I don't have time to write a book. Anytime I wanted to do it, I don't have the head for it. And never did it. I kept on reinforcing and reinforcing and reinforcing. So what did I say? I'm going to write a book. That's my new belief system. What happened? I said, no matter what, I'm going to write a book. All of a sudden, as soon as I broke that belief system, 2 people called me, I'm going to help you with your book. The book is already in God willing, in the editors, and it's getting worked on right now. But if I didn't make a decision to say I'm writing a book, it would have never happened. It would never happen. But I've told myself for 5 years I don't have time. I've told myself 5 years I don't have time. So the minute I write, I procrastinate and say I don't have time. I broke that pattern right away because I said, yes, I have time. When you say, I don't have time to get remarried, there's no single guys in Miami. There's no single guys in New York. The market's terrible. You can't make money. You're squashed. You're in the dalid. You'll never get to the hay. Your belief system is basically confirming why you're not doing anything. So first we have to work on what is the limited belief. The Dalit is the limited belief in your life. I can't make money, I won't get married, my relationship will never get better. Remember, that what's destroying our lives is not heaven, it's the inner voice that's telling you why you can't have it. So the limited belief could say, is the Dalit is saying, that's the limited belief. I can't get married because there's no people out there. Okay? Then you have to add the Yud. What's the Yud? The Yud has to be the new empowering belief. Yes, there's 1,000 people available. There's so many people available. The Hey is you're finding the evidence towards your decision. So then you have to take an empowering decision towards your goal. Every single problem that I speak to, I ask, it's the same problem. Limited belief systems. We were at an event 2 days ago, Eid V'Shalom. I'm speaking to the creator, the founder. Oh, we can't raise money. At the end of the night, we raised $116,000. Told her, break your belief systems. Before, she only raised 20 grand at an event. I told her, break your belief systems. Your belief systems are nonsense. They're not true. You have a belief system that's limiting your organization. So if you don't break your belief systems, you become limited. Now, why is a belief system false? Now, you're going to ask me, well, maybe it's true. A limited belief system is true. It's because God is Ein Sof. God is Ein Sof. God is limitless. There's no limits to God. When we have faith, we remove limits. But the minute you have a negative belief system, that is not godliness. That is in your head. That is your ego. That is your past. That is your parents. That is your trauma. That has nothing to do with heaven. Limitations are not a Jewish or spiritual concept. They don't exist. This is why our sages command us to destroy doubt. Amalek, doubt. Every single holiday, doubt. Every 2 months, Zachor Amalek, destroy Amalek. Is because limited belief systems are a disaster. Let's say we're having a hard time in a marriage. In a person's head, what is he thinking? Maybe this is not the one. Maybe this is not the one. Maybe this person's not my soulmate. Maybe this is not the one. So what happens when you start saying it's not the one? You start looking at other people, and you're confirming your limited belief system. But if you say, this is the one, this is who I married, this is who I got on the bus with, this is tough luck, you will not be divorced. You will not be divorced. The problem is today, people get into relationships on a swipe of an app, so they get out also on a swipe of an app. Easy come, easy go. What did you do for a date? What did you do? You scram? You got lucky for 2 minutes? You got a date, next thing you know, date's over, that's it. Vince Lombardi says, it's very hard to quit if you put a lot of time into something. So today, we're not really putting the time into things. So easy come, easy go, end the story. But this is exactly what you have to work on. Whether it's your spouse, whether it's yourself, whether it's money issues. For example, financially, I never had a problem giving charity because I grew up with a very abundant belief system that as soon as you make money, you give it away. I never thought of money stopping. I watched my grandmother give charity for years. I never had a belief system saying there's a limitation. You have money, give it away. And then more will come. Never had that belief system in my head. Never understood it because I never grew up like that. So we basically grow up in certain belief systems and we think this is the way. This is the program that's running the life. Until you break that system, your belief, thoughts, everything else will just be exactly aligned with that. And this is not a new age tool. This is strictly called, you have to destroy the inner voice, which is the Amalek. The snake consciousness. You see, before, the snake consciousness was outside. Now it's inside of you. It's the inner voice telling you why you can't have something. So if I ask you right now, what do you want? And you're going to tell me, I want this. So I'm going to tell you, okay, what's the problem to receiving it? You already gave me an excuse of why you can't have it. I have done this since I've been preparing for the class, and I have made a few breakthroughs already. Because I recognize the reason why I'm not succeeding in certain areas is because there's a limited belief system in this area. And once I remove the limited belief system in this area, I will have more of a sense of urgency to work on it because I believe in it. But if I don't really believe in it, for example, if you don't really believe in prayer, you're not going to be waking up to go pray. You're not going to wake up to go pray. If you don't believe in exercise, you're not going to go wake up to exercise. Because your belief system about exercises means this is hard, this is not good for me, this is pain. We have to change our belief systems. Remember, the light from above, from God, does not change. It's up to us to make the appropriate vessels. There's no colors, white, yellow, root. It's us to make it. It comes undifferentiated. God is only good. The limitations, when you say, God is not allowing me to provide, to have money, that's because you have a limited belief system. It's a limited belief system that's really anchored down. And as many people I speak to, it's the same thing. The same thing as getting married. Limited belief system. Then all of a sudden, okay, let me go on a date. And really, you don't want to be married. You want to be single. So what do you say? You find some flaw in the person? Not for me. Not for me. You're looking for an excuse. The same way as a person would say, I want a job. Okay, show up at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Oh, I missed the bus. You don't want a job. Don't tell me you want a job, but you want to. You want to make yourself feel good. So this is really, it's really a lot of work. But if I promise you, you fix the dalid, you have to know what the dalid is to get to the yud. A lot of us, if we don't know what the dalid is, if we don't know what the limited belief system, how do we get to the yud? And if we don't get to the yud, how do we get to the hey? So the dalid is the limited belief system, which Hebrew, the word dalid means poor, poor-minded. The yud represents thoughts, chachma, wisdom, and the hey represents faith. It's the completion of those two. The hey is going to be the new evidence towards that new belief. You have to take some kind of action. This is why on Rosh Hashana, when we say we're going to have a good year, and may our enemies be destroyed like this carrot or this spinach. You know what we do? Or whatever, carrot, spinach. You eat it right away because we need a physical action in this world to say, hey, this is true. When we could just say, hey, our enemies are going to be destroyed. Why do you need to sit at dinner and say our enemies are going to be destroyed? Why do I need to grab a carrot or something that sounds like an enemy? Or why do I have to eat honey that sounds sweet? I'm going to have a sweet year? That means my mouth is going to taste the honey. It's going to taste the sweetness. What we're doing is we're bringing the thought into action. We're manifesting already believing in it. And this is exactly what the hay is. It's to crank down that belief. So if you want to have, it's not about having a new year, it's having a new you. You have to think about, are you going to go and use these days and sit there and question the belief system? If it's a marriage that both of you should sign a marriage contract and say, hey, through thick and thin, this is exactly what you signed before. You have to sign it again. That's it. This is a commitment. This is a commitment no matter what. If it's a business, this is what I committed to. Because a lot of times what I've noticed, we have we don't like to be inconvenienced, we don't like to be in pain, we don't like things that bother us. So the new form of coping is next. And then what happens? We're like, I thought I just got off that new line, but I have to wait again? So what we're doing is we're waiting on line, and then saying, I can't deal with this line, and then going back into the line again, and waiting again. Instead of saying, this is a non-negotiable. Whether it's anything in your life, if you take this claw, if you notice the belief, you change the belief, and what's going to happen, I promise you, once you start thinking positive, because your brain is so used to thinking negative, wow, are you going to get attacked. You are not going to believe what the hell happened to you. The minute I started doing this about a certain issue, I couldn't believe the whole day I was getting negativity. But I said, the fact that I'm getting negativity, it means something is working. Because before, I never even dealt with the negativity. How did I deal with the negativity before? I rationalized it. I said, well, it's not happening because of this. But the minute you wanted to start doing something, then the evil inclination is going to attack you and say, what are you talking about? Where are you going? You've been a customer for American Express for 20 years. Now you want to change? You've been in negativity for 20 years. Now you want to be positive? So we have to be careful of the beginning. The beginnings of doing this formula is going to be very difficult. And you're going to say, what? How come it's so hard? Anything that's hard is the fact that you're breaking through the resistance. Because remember, if you spend 5 years on a negative belief system, you fed that negative belief system through negativity. Now you have to undo it. So may Hashem help us. We should all break our negative belief systems. May we all become the best version of us. And may we all have an amazing, amazing new year. God bless.